Hey everyone, I'm Tiffany, and we are about to embark on another HD Lounge, a human design little mini workshop with Leisha. We're working on a second part of the collective channels. So I'm going to spotlight Leisha and allow you to share screen. I think you can. And I'm just excited to learn just as much as you are. So thank you, Leisha.
Thank you, Tiffany. Hello, everybody. One sec, let me get my slides here. Okay, can you see the title slide there?
Yep.
Okay. So, we've been on this journey exploring the individual, tribal, and collective circuitry. Of course, we took a little side quest over there to Bardo in October because it just made sense talking about death and, kind of the transition between lives and all these things. So, which I really enjoyed and actually brought up a lot for me that was necessary. So, we're continuing with collective circuitry, and this will kind of complete our series we started in the summer with all the circuitry, and then we'll see what comes up next. So, let's go ahead and get into it. I do have us I always like to orient us to, okay, what are we talking about? It's been a month since we talked last. So, just to remind us, the individual circuitry is all the kind of the center line of the body graph on either side and down the center. And you can see that really clearly. This is about knowing. It contains the knowing circuit, the centering circuit within that individual circuitry, and the integration circuitry, which is about self-empowerment. The key word is empower with individual. Like, it's mutative, it's acoustic, it's about being unique, and you know what? Empowering others is not always comfortable for them. So if you have individual circuitry, that's what you're here to do. Doesn't mean it's comfortable. Doesn't mean they're like, oh, I'm so empowered now. It's just that's what your being and your aura is doing. Then we went to tribal, and tribal is this kind of almost like a baseball diamond that involves the ego, heart center, and has the defense circuit. It has the preservation, the defense and the preservation circuitry, the ego circuit, and it's about reproduction and material support, the key word being support. Okay, so support of the tribe, support of the children, support of the family unit. And so, of course, we can already see how these, being an individual there can be, a kind of a rub there with the tribal circuitry. So knowing your circuitry, knowing the ones that you live with, knowing the ones that you love, and where they differ is huge, right? And of course, always following your strategy and authority is going to lead you in and out of anything, that you need that is correct for you. And then we started collective. So this is last time we talked about this side of the body graph. So this is, and you see it switches over at the head center and the root center, as far as it's not just the left side of the body graph. So the left side is the understanding circuit. It's future focused. And I have a graphic. I'll just reorient us to that too as we get into collective. It's about logic, the logical patterns for the future. And generally collective is about sharing when correct. So sharing what you see for a logical pattern to move us into the future for well-being. Now that's well-being, it's on the, it's got the spleen center within the understanding circuit. So it is about well-being. So, kind of on the other side of the logical, what patterns make sense, what's going to bring us into the future, is the sensing and abstract circuitry. So that's what we're going to look at today. This is more about experiencing. You see the solar plexus is in this, the centers, that are lit up in this one. So it's about feeling, it's about making sense afterwards. So it's like, you can't even, I love how my manifestor friend said it. He said, you will not get the fruit until the experience is done. You can't squeeze the fruit for the juice. You can't get any of the gifts till the experience is completely over. So while you're in that, it's not going to be clear. So we'll kind of get into that. And it's about sensing abstract experiences of the past. It's about remembering, it's about reflecting. So if we're just continually moving and we don't take time to reflect on the things that just happened, then we're not getting the juice from that fruit. So again, we're talking about sharing. And so we'll hear this theme throughout the collective circuitry. Okay, so this is where we are. We're getting into the sensing and abstract, past reflective type of part of collective circuitry. And this is just again, kind of a review. So it's about sharing. Collective circuitry is what holds the world together. And in the body graph, it's on the outer edges of the individual and tribal circuitry. It's literally on the outside of everything. It's kind of holding it in. So just so you can kind of remember it visually as you start to see that in your chart. This is about establishing what is good in general for the greater good. And I have one channel. I'm a projector with one channel. It's collective, and it's logical. It's about understanding. My language is literally like, well, I want to investigate that so that I can understand, so that I can experiment with it and find the logical pattern. I mean, it's absolutely spot on, and for what's in greatest service to the greatest good. Like, that's just what I'm oriented toward. It's not focused on the individual. So I have individual gates, but I don't have any individual channels. So that's going to express differently than someone that's like my teenager who has, I don't know, 5 individual channels and is an emotional manifesting generator. And it shows us how we come together and integrate with others in order for sharing to take place. Okay, and this kind of, again, just logical discoveries and abstract experiences are meant to be passed on to others in the world we're sharing together. You hear all the collective keynotes in that. We looked at this last time, so I'm just sharing again. We're going to be looking at the sensing or abstract circuit. And this is about, instead of identifying patterns for the future through understanding the logic, right? It's making sense of the past experientially. It's experiencing things. It's reflecting on our experiences. It's feeling, it's sensing. I have a sense of this. Doesn't make logical sense. It's a sense that you have. Okay, and oh yeah, this happened last time. So remember, future is like, we're going toward the future. This is what's logical. This is what we need to predict what's going to happen. And then there's the abstract circuitry is about the past. It's like what just happened, which you can't know in the moment. There's some, some challenges or some juicy stuff on the ride in that. Feel like this was a repeat. Did I open the wrong? Okay, hold on a second. I have the wrong PowerPoint up. Just a minute. I did repeat some. Let me try this one. Hold on one second.
This is actually a great preview because I'm teaching Mercury Retrograde tomorrow, and all the things are going like this. Like
perfect.
We're in the shadow period, right? So yeah, of course, little technical things. There we are.
So apologies. And Tiff, you don't have the right slides either to follow along. So I apologize.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
Okay. So here we are. Okay. So the first few slides were the same, but I was like, what did I do there? Okay. So the collective circuitry is the sensing or abstract circuit. Now this is a lot, but it's because I wanted to sort of put a comparison here. So we saw this last time, understanding the understanding circuit, which is all this on the left side. These logical, very, pattern identifying, future focus, what makes sense for the future because we've figured out the logical pattern. All of those is about finding a reliable and reproducible pattern through our experiments and experiences and verifiable facts we can all agree on. Okay, so like this happened, this makes sense, this is what we're going to do. It's about building infrastructure through experimenting. On the other side of things, the sensing or abstract circuitry is focused on the past. It's about going through experiences, seeing at the time what is happening, but not really fully knowing or understanding, right? Because it's not individual, it's not logical, it's sensing. Oh, I'm in the middle of something right now, and I am not going to know what it's about until afterward, and just sensing that and embracing that and surrendering to that. Seeing at the time what's happening, reflecting back on what was valuable and successful after it's over, then we move on. So a lot of humanity, because we're moving so fast and the whole entire world is talking about logic and all of these things, it's often we miss this chance to reflect and really what were the gifts of that experience, and knowing the gifts will be revealed later. I mean, I went through some major stuff in 2022 that was heart-wrenching and many layers of grief and many layers of just everything breaking down. And that's when my manifestor friend said that. It's like, you're not going to know until it's over. And I'm just like, oh, okay, you're right. Like, loosen the grip, just ride the ride, you know? So unpredictability is a part of the pattern of life. So it's interesting because it's like you can almost understand and find a logic in, hey, there isn't a logical predictability in everything. So that to me, being understanding logical person, I'm like, that I like that. I'm like, put the unpredictability in the cauldron, stir that around, let that simmer, because that's part of the pattern too. So it's almost like I can trick myself into going, that's part of the pattern. You have to reflect back. Like, you're not going to know every logical thing. You know, and undefined ajna, I'm like, uncertainty, like, get comfortable with it. Pull it up and just snuggle up with that uncertainty, because you don't get to know. Stop the recording.
No, just Mercury.
Oh, good.
I'm
Love
taking
it.
notes in a separate Google Doc. My
It's
mouse
like,
is
okay,
even in the way, guys.
PowerPoints, recordings. Yeah. The sensing circuit is about being human. And it's about what's not logical or predictable. It's the experiential way of making sense of experiences over time and humanity. I mean, we're talking about collective here. This isn't just in my personal life. This is as a species over evolution, you know, this is about making sense of our experiences over time. Oh, okay, evolution of humanity, our stored and shared history, what to keep from the past, which is funny because I was an evolutionary psychology major. And like, I mean, I'm obsessed with evolution way before human design. Each new life doesn't have to relearn everything. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's why we share what we understood upon reflection and looking at the logic, then we share from our unique perspective. And that's what kind of moves all of humanity forward. It's impersonal. But it is something to be shared, like from my personal experience and through my personal expression with my unique design. Once I've had time for the reflection. So it's not like, oh, let me just share everything because I have collective circuitry and let me just vomit all of my sharings everywhere. It's like, well, no, I still need to have like some reflection and kind of like make sure I'm coming from the, clean and clear is how I kind of say it, like place. It's not pain body sharing. It's, it's like the deconditioned sharing from up after I've reflected and kind of integrated things. And this is about collecting memories about experiences, feelings, and emotions on the journey of discovery. So, you see the solar plexus is defined in this one. So it's about feelings and emotions that these experiences bring up and reflecting upon those. So looking at the different, this is a summary of all the channels that you'll see within the sensing or abstract circuit. So remember, any channel that goes from the root to sacral is a format energy. It's formatting kind of its world around, right? And I've shared, I think my son, my 7-year-old has the 360, and boy, when he came in, and that's the channel mutation. Talk about, 7 years of rapid mutation, like on multi-dimensional levels. And my sister-in-law has all 3 of these format channels. So that's really interesting. So it's the format that is balancing development as we go through cycles. And I'm going to look at each of these channels in more depth, but that's what this is, the channel of balanced development. It's about beginnings, middles, and ends. We'll go into it. So it's the format that is balancing development as we go through these cycles. Remember, again, collectively through response. Yeah, I don't know why this is so sensitive. Through response, leading to experiences where things can be discovered through success or failure. This is the channel of discovery. Sharing as a witness what we could all learn from. This is the channel of the prodigal or the witness. Pressuring to experience, so now we're here. Pressuring to experience and desire to feel things, gate of desire. Feel things. I'm desiring this to feel and to have an experience where I can feel things, which if I don't know what describes my teen more than that, then they have this channel. So it's about, sorry, one sec. Yeah, a pressure, a desire to experience and feel things, ultimately bringing things to fruition as manifestation of driving force of desire that has materialized. This is the channel of, we'll talk about it. With curiosity, seeking to organize experiences into a story through a cyclical process of mental activity and clarity. So that's just like using keynote notes and kind of weaving around what the channels each are in this whole entire circuitry and kind of what that abstract experience is about. So looking at the channels, you know, the 5342, oh, it's the channel of, oh yeah, balanced development, but it's called the channel of maturation. It's about these cycles. So again, I like to look, I have channel 53, I have the gate of beginnings. This is the gate of beginnings, development and starting new things. And then 42, I don't have that. So that's the gate of growth, increase, the gate of closure. So what that tells me is I don't have, like, I'm great at starting things. I'm great at starting things. And my, you know, I don't always finish things. Like I literally have audiobooks that I start. It's funny knowing it about myself. Now I look at audiobooks and I'm like, wow, you went all the way up to the last like 30 minutes and you just couldn't fit, like you don't have 42, I guess. So you just couldn't finish the thing.
Do you
So
do
it's
that
really
when you
funny.
eat too, Leisha? Do you like leave the last bite?
Sometimes I do that. Or like, I mean, how many projects do we have, Tiffany, like that are
There's so many open.
started that
Yeah,
just hanging over there?
it's
And she's
December.
like, can you just finish the thing? I mean, we don't pressure each other. It's just always
No.
like if it's correct for you. But it's just funny because you can see it in the mechanics.
Wait,
And
I have a question here.
yeah,
Sorry to
please.
keep
Yeah.
blurting
No,
out and interrupting.
please blurt.
Um, okay, so with this, so I'm always trying to, I'm not trying to, my brain, quad left, is always seeking order and weaving in astrology that has, and so I tell people this that have a lot of Aries and a lot of Mars, that you are intended to start things, not finish them. You're intended to fire. And so I'm curious, I know it's kind of like next level for at least where I'm at with HD, but what planets do you have in that channel?
Oh, you know what's, and you know, Tiffany, you know my pain here because I usually pull up my body graph, but they recently changed
Ugh, I know. I'm
the
looking at
whole thing and I
that
absolutely hate
zone.
it. So I'm just gonna just pull it up.
Do we hate it
But
because it
let's,
sucks, or do we hate it because it's different and
it
it's like
it's
when the
not
grocery
it
store
first
changes
of
things,
all,
you
getting
can't have it.
started, get out of here. I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
So it's just all this is like, and I'm like, where are my things? Like I used to be able to click on, you know, this
Yeah.
and it would give me the channel, which I guess it's doing. I don't know. It's just not, I can't see like the library in the same way. I mean, there's many reasons I feel like that I don't like it. I'm good at new things, but I don't find this to be easy. And there's a lot of talk about that. So for me personally, 53, I have twice. And I have it in my, is that Neptune? Yeah, I've been both my Neptunes.
That's Saturn that you're talking
Saturn.
about.
Oh, okay. So it's in my Saturns.
Second line.
But what I was gonna pull up, I'm showing you like kind of how the sausage is made here, but the I was gonna look at, I have a chart that shows all the different gates and what each sign is.
While you're looking at that, guys, two of the projects Leisha and I have talked about is creating a Trello board as a product that has some of these sausage making items in it. And I'm curious if if you would like something like that. If so, we could craft it, and then the other one is we have a workbook of communications. I mean, it's Leisha's book. It's not like Tiffany's just informing and about publishing, but we have this whole workbook about communicating with different aura types. These are the things. Look, everybody's shaking their head. Yes, Leisha.
Yes.
And I'm the
See,
Scorpio. I'm the executor. I'm the finisher. I'm the eliminator. I'm get the job done. Like, so I know
okay,
it was
but do you have,
but I don't
my
have
question is, do you
anything.
have 42? Because I
No, I
know
have
no,
42.
you don't. Okay, I was
Yeah,
just curious.
nothing down there.
Yeah,
Oh,
not that, oh yeah, that's right. You and your completely open route.
completely open route. Come on,
But
give
it's
me
funny
time.
because my son, my 7-year-old does have gate 42. So I'll be like, hey, can you, first of all, Annie's a generator and I'm not a generator. So sometimes I'm like, hey, can you come in the garage while I'm working on this project? Because I find that I can really finish like things when you're around, you know? So I think, and then like my husband has the whole channel. Anyway, it's a whole, yeah, I
Oh,
feel, I don't know if I jumped in
Camden.
on what you were saying.
No, you didn't, but I'm now in the notes. So Camden has Mars in that channel, and she has some Aries, some strong Aries. Oh, yeah, you're an Aries sun, duh, and a manifester, right? So you have all of the things that would point to starting, not finishing, which is impossible in this society. It's like impossible to feel that or hear that or whatever. And so I would refer you also to April. April has Aries midheaven, and she's intended to fire start, to ignite, to not finish. And then David's got hanging gate 42, so you guys together could start and finish. And and Camden has it 53 3 or 4 times. And Connie, I don't know what you're saying yes to. Maybe you can shoot a note about that.
Yes.
We flew past it. But 53 3 or 4 times, that's a lot of 53.
That's a lot of starting, which makes sense with manifester. You're initiating, you're starting stuff, you're kicking off and not, you don't need to do the work to get it done. Now that, of course, you know, tell your boss that, tell your, you know, I get that that's not how we live, but that's, you know, where you would move toward closer and closer, Camden, because you're on this experiment. I already know.
I'll stop
Um,
slowing this down, but if you guys have questions,
no,
just
it's good.
it's like
This is
meant
what
to
makes
be
it
discussed.
juicy.
Yeah, this is fun, so feel
The
free to
good stuff.
unmute yourselves too.
One thing with this channel too that is so interesting, it's beginnings, middles, and ends, which makes sense, right? Like it's the cycles we go through. One thing that Devin and I have been working on, my husband, is he has this channel, and it's like it's almost, so we watch a show together on certain nights. We like, okay, we always have to have a show that we're sharing, but it's like we've discovered through talking about this that it's like if he starts like a show, then he's gonna watch, he needs to finish the episode. Whereas I'm like, I'll start it and then fall asleep 10 minutes later and I'm fine. But meanwhile, it leaves him in this interesting, and that's a mundane example. It's in many more examples where like his routine during the day, it's like if he doesn't complete something with work, then it's almost like, and then come out to be with the family, then he can't really like, it throws his whole vibe, response, pressure, fuel, joy, all the things off, you know? And so but we've really just like the last few weeks, I've been like, oh, it's that beginnings, middles, and ends where if you start, like you have to finish the previous thing or you got to start the whole thing over again. And it's like unsatisfying and not necessarily correct. So that's been interesting. So once a cycle starts, it has to kind of be finished or it's just going to have to be repeated. And it's not feeling satisfying if you have that whole channel, because you're a generator if you have that whole channel. So that's interesting. Okay, and then we're going up from the sacral to the 2946, the channel of discovery. This is the design, and my teen has this design of succeeding where others fail or failing where others succeed. If that doesn't describe my child to a T, I don't know what does. But this is the gate of determination, but it's directional because, you know, of course, the G is like the direction that we're going. So it's this determination that's directional. Now with this, remember, all this is abstract. So it's not like you finish a cycle and you're like, or while you're in it, you're like, oh, I'm in the middle of a thing, or like I need to get to the end, or, you know, any of that. It's like you only know that afterward. And then you're like, oh, looking back, okay, I guess I see now that I didn't complete that cycle. So I actually had to redo that whole entire relationship with another person because I didn't, you know, or whatever. Like you can zoom all the way out or all the way into like a show, you know, an episode, or you can zoom out to career, relationships, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So the same thing with this channel of discovery is, and I think about it so much with my child because they're the only ones in our house that has this whole channel. And it's very much like I usually say, because it's about saying yes, you know, ready to commit to life, like let's try this. And then this is kind of pushing, this is called determination of self, pushing upward. It's a very much right place, right time gate. I have gate 46, but I don't have 29. So I always notice now in life, I'm like very aware of the like, oh, I'm in the right place, right time with right people, because I'm very open. I got two centers defined. So this is all open. So it's very determinate by whom I'm around, what I'm experiencing, and what, whether it's correct or not, is the right place, right time, right people. You can really feel that, or not, or you're not in the right place with the right time with the right people, like not, because all this is, it's the range of that. It's like, this is what you're designed for. But if you're in not self and just don't realize it, and you have all this conditioning and trauma and blah, 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 and you come into HD when you're already in a life that was built around a system of being conditioned and not self. So then you kind of have to, deconstruct that life and kind of it reconstructs around being correct. So it's all or not. But with them, I often say, like, well, just go into it and like see what the experience brings you, and it'll make sense afterward. Like I use that language a lot. Like, you won't know before, like you'll only know. And my teenager's very abstract, absolutely abstract designed, not logical. So it's very it's a lot of that, that kind of like talk with them. And it's funny when I do that with my children or anyone, that it's correct, but especially I see it with them, it's like a stillness will kind of come up. Like, they heard me at a level that's not like I'm a teenager person hearing you. It's like DNA heard me, so it's interesting to feel that when I use that kind of language. Okay. So then, once you've gone through the cycle, you've discovered, we can talk about the channel 3313, which is so interesting of a channel. It's called the prodigal or design of a witness, collecting experiences. It's the gate of the listener, 13. This one's about, like, if someone has the gate 13, you're probably going to be hearing a lot of other people's secrets. They're just going to be sharing that with you because you have this privacy, it's the gate of privacy and the gate of the listener. So you almost like you have this aura, your aura is just speaking for you. You're not doing anything. You can be silent and people can really feel that. And so you might notice like people share secrets with you. And my niece has this whole channel, and I really see her. She's only 5, but I see her often because I don't have like no one in my family. I don't live with a 3313. So I'm like always kind of trying to feel that flavor, but I'll see her kind of like, she'll quietly just look over there and see something that someone's doing, or something that's like on, like, I have diabetes, juvenile diabetes. So I have like mechanical devices on me, and she'll just kind of look at it, but not say anything, and just kind of, I'll see her take it in. And I think of this channel every time because she's just noticing, she's seeing, she's collecting all of that, but doesn't necessarily, she's private about it. She's just kind of like, there's a little secret thing peeking out, yeah, did you want to throw anything? I'm not watching the chat, so please feel free to
just going to
blurt.
chat
Okay, good. I'm so glad, because I'm glad you're connecting all your, all the astrology pieces.
Yeah.
And this is important to retreat so that you can like consider and kind of reflect on the secrets shared with you and the secrets that you've seen and the experiences you've had, and kind of know what to share and what not to share. So that's kind of why that's called that. Oh, hanging gate 33 in the defined throat, David, or undefined?
Defined throat, manifesting generator.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And what's your well, now I'm like, can you just give me your channels and your chart? But
I'm
that's
sure.
okay.
Yeah,
We don't have to.
if you want, yeah.
What channels do you have to the throat?
I have like 48 to 16.
Oh, I have oh my god, that's my one channel.
Twinsies.
Twinsies. And 3313. But what's your motor to the throat? Like, what's
So I guess it goes from my
root?
or no, actually goes from like the self center, like 26 to 44.
So you've got the ego going to the spleen, going to the throat, and that's what
Yeah,
makes
so I
you
guess
the manifesting.
yeah.
Nice, interesting. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, you're welcome.
All right. So, anything else here before we move to the other channels? I think we're going to go to 4130 next. And this is such a fascinating channel. The channel of recognition, it's the design of focused energy, which you might, you know, how is that? I always am kind of like, well, how is that? But what I do think about is it's very like a fantasy type of channel. My teenager has this one too. And they're very into like Zelda and like D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and Pokemon, and like kind of fairy, foresty type. We did recently redid their room in forest, like fantasy kind of decor. And it's very, do you have that channel, Camden? I can't remember. Or you just know?
Hanging 30.
Oh, that's the that's the clinging fire.
And I
Those,
hang out with my
the
mom and
desire. Yeah.
all fantasy, everything.
What, the fantasy about things? Like you have a kind of a fantastical idea of, yeah. And remember, it's feeling, it's abstract. It's like it's almost like, so there's the fantasy and the clinging, the wanting, the true desire and having these desire for these experiences and to feel these things. And you might think, oh, this is going to be so, it's like expectations almost are like, and I've seen this over and over with my child, like over and over and over, I see them have these sort of expectations that it's going to be this sort of thing. And it's like, and then you can kind of have the crash of the expectations, and that's that emotional process. Now they've had the crash and now their fantasies have all I mean, even when COVID happened, it's like they were trucking along in this like great school and they had all these friends, and it's like it kind of crashed everything for them. And I still see that sort of emotional fallout years later with them, because the emotional process is a long one. It's an abstract process, that only makes sense way after it's done. So what I notice with the 4130 is it's about having these fantasies, but not having expectations of the actual experience, just going for the experience and kind of like seeing, okay, my crash may happen, that the fantasy might not be what I wanted, but that's part of the experience. What did I get from this? I was going to say something else about that channel, and I think I lost it. It flew out of my open head. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what it was. So 3635 is the transitoriness, the channel of transitoriness, the design of jack of all trades. This is that channel that you only get the fruit after the experience is done. So this is the channel of the crisis, darkening of the light, right? And then change and progress. So this is like, I mean, there's a lot to say about this channel. I have gate 35, my husband has 36. He can handle crisis like nobody's business. I mean, he got an award at his last company called Keeping Cool Under Pressure, like keeping calm under pressure. I was like, that's that gate 36, 100%. And he's emotionally defined. So we have this together, and it's really interesting because it's just a lot of progress. It's adventure. I think of it as it's a channel wanting adventure, wanting to experience, wanting to have change and progress, and like kind of, not mess things up, but just like jump off the cliff and kind of see, like, let's go do something new. Let's go do something fun. And in our relationship, that's very true. Like, I always want sort of a date night or a trip or a something fun. And that's part of my channel, my gate 35 change gate is like wanting that change, but being aware of that, not pushing for, like in my ute, I used to definitely push for more change. And I think be a little chaotic and make change happen because I had that desire for change. And now I'm much more like in my gate 5 north node of like waiting. I'm much more projector. I'm much more like, stop, don't force anything. Don't try to force the river of life leash, So of course, over time, you get the wisdom of all this openness and all these activations. Yeah, Tiff, I saw you.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Cross of Eden.
Is that
And it is part of that. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's part of that. Yeah. Look at you.
Dots. I'm connecting the dots today.
Learning stuff. Yes.
Be proud of your group. Everybody's all like, I have a hanging gate there.
Oh
And I'm
yeah,
like,
exactly. I'm like,
so
like, yeah, it's in
we
my
come so far.
so it's in my personality son. So that's so good.
I love it.
Nadine, so husband has 35 and you have 30. Oh, and wait, has 35p, 36p. He's always reacting to everything like it's a crisis. Yeah, that's the thing, Nadine, that I say, oh, he's so great at handling a crisis. And sometimes I'm like, you're kind of causing that crisis a little bit, because it's like me creating the change that I want to experience because I want to make progress, right? It's like they'll kind of like that's part of that aura, but you can do it with awareness as self, or you can do it with not without the awareness as not self and create chaos and crisis for others. So, and it's funny, my mother-in-law also has 36, and I mean, it's so clear, like she's emotional and all these things, but I mean, emotionally defined, and she's a 1-3. I mean, it's all the things, right? But she's definitely like it's chaotic because she's not necessarily always waiting for her process. And so I'm like, if anything kind of can go wrong, it will go wrong, with the crisis. But she's great at handling crisis. It's just, I got 35. I don't got the 36. So it's interesting. So then you're going up to the channel of curiosity. This is the design of a searcher or a seeker. So someone that has either of these gates, and if you don't have the gate or the channel, it doesn't mean you're not those things. It just means you're not fixed in that one way. Like if you have this channel, you're going to particularly, think and express in a certain way, that you're going to be able to really tell stories really well. You're going to be able to share these ideas that are stimulating, that kind of create this, this great story. This is the channel of the storyteller. But if you don't have them, it doesn't mean you can't do that. It just means that you're actually more like the range of how you can express that is wider and less consistent. It's going to have a bigger, variant in it. So I just like to name that, because I think in human design, often it's like, if you have the channel, oh, you're so lucky you have this channel. It's like, I have come to see, given how dadgum open I am on my chart, that it's like, I'm freaking flexible as hell in every area, which had pain for the first, whatever, half of life. But now it's like, okay, I see how this is like my gift. So anyway, I just like to name that, given my openness. So gate 11 is the gate of ideas and peace. It's also part of the channel, or the cross of Eden. And 56 is stimulation, or the wanderer. And so these come together to it's ideas that can bring peace of mind, wandering through life to see if there are other ideas that can bring peace of mind, that make a great story. So Tiff, you don't have 36, do you? Okay, I didn't think so, because I feel like we would have identified
I got
that.
nothing over there, but I am.
Oh yeah, you have gate 49 in emotional, right? In 6. You have 6 and 49 in an open solar plexus.
I do have 6 and 49 hanging, yes. But
okay, you meant like anything between
here. I
don't
have 35, 36, but I'm faced
or
with
12, 22.
People that have 35, 36, and I was just telling
or half,
and it's so if you have a naked channel, such as my 35, 36, and there's nothing going on there, and you have somebody in your life that has a hanging gate, for example, is that considered a compromise, or is it only a compromise when you have a person with a full channel and a person with a hanging gate?
Yeah. That's the compromise, is if they have this whole channel, and you, like, if I meet someone that has 35, 36 and I just have the 35, that's a compromise for me.
But okay, that's the only way that thing works. So it's Camden was saying that she did you mean 53 or did you mean 35? I think you meant 35. But either way,
well, I think with my 35 have changed, but with my 53 of starting shit.
Like,
oh,
I'm gonna go do
starting
that.
shit.
And then,
and your impact.
So I'll walk out the door and be like, I'm gonna go get a tattoo. I'll see you for lunch. And people
right.
Like,
detonation and everyone just
Lightning
the
bolt.
office
Yeah.
detonated when you
That is
left.
a true story, by the way. I didn't know.
That actually happened.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I've just been using that term. Like it's, HD, it's fun to listen to you talk because I'm not trying to be like Penelope and have a story for every single thing that you're saying. I'm just learning and like lighting up because, I have a great story about right place, right time. And I have that. I use it in my astrology readings all the time. I'm sure people are like, we know. But like it's one that I use and I have that gate, and the emotional whiplash is one I talk about a lot too, where I'm like, I don't want to be on the other side of that. Can you contain it? Because it sends me into a full throttle panic. And I can't, it's like, now I'm just going to regulate for a couple of weeks. I'll have to talk to you again later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I'm not a particularly sensitive person emotionally, but my nervous system is. And so anyways, all of these little nuggets of little pieces are just connecting a lot. It's really
good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tiff.
Yeah.
And I love the stories, so I'm down for any blurting of any stories. Okay, and you know what? Never mind. I'm not even. Okay, so 6447 is the head in Ajna. So this is the gate of confusion before completion. Tiffany's got that one. And then 47 is the gate of realization, oppression. Isn't that interesting? Now that's my design sun, so I know 47 very well. And so this is the channel of abstraction. So remember, it goes on the opposite side. So you see here, all this on the right side is abstract, but then at the root and the head, the abstract channel's on the other side. So just to note that, because it takes a minute to kind of get that into my logical part of my head. So this is the design of mental activity and clarity. Inspired pressure that's confused and anxious until a certain realization makes it clear, right? So that it's that confusion before the thing is done. Because again, it's abstract. It's an abstract process. It's the oppression and confusion before the experience is finished. Then once it's finished, or once all that kind of data and like the process can kind of go through, then it's like, oh, okay, I have the clarity. I'm not confused anymore. Oh, I realize now what the thing is. And that, if that doesn't describe me, I don't even know what describes me more than that. Like, and it's not, I don't get caught up now in the confusion. I'm just like I feel myself investigating, I feel myself experimenting, and then I'm like, oh my God, this realization. And then it expands out into like all of the collective. And then I'm like, ooh, back into the 1-3 personal, like, blah, 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 and then boom, get the clarity. And it kind of, so I see how my cycle sort of does this, like almost like a heartbeat or an inhale, exhale process, So just describing my experience of that realization. And for me, I have the gate 47.3, which is self-oppression. And it's in my design sun. So I really I would encourage everyone to really dig into your incarnation, like your top 4 gates to personality, to design sun and earth, because those are 70% of your, expression. And to me, it's like, if you just look at those, there's infinite things to see. So that self-oppression, what it looks like for me is I'll go, I don't realize that I'm in this kind of personal, and then it's like my thinking is sort of like, it is sort of self-oppressive. And Tiffany will even be like, I'll be texting her something and she's like, self-oppression, and we always do that to each other. We're like, confusion before completion. And it's like, God, yes, you got me on that. And then I have this realization and I expand outside of that oppression more than I was before. So then I start from a new place and, expand from there. 47.6. I have to look at what that one is called. I'm just gonna look at my phone real quick, because I assume you have that, Camden. So I'm gonna pull up your chart. And just noting, I know it's 52, so I just wanna, let's see. Well, and yours is in your moon. That's your driving force. And that's called futility. And you also have it in detriment. So this is like where the strength of will, where the strength of will alone may find a way to adapt and survive, but without hope of ever overcoming the oppression. Life as an ordeal stripped of realization. So that's one tiny like oppression piece in your chart, you know, but it's just to be aware of, right? I don't know how it would manifest. Like only you really can, with the combination of all your other things. How do you relate to that? Is there any, or I would love to know if you have anything to share. I would never want to ask you a question, manifester.
I do. I love being asked questions.
I know you tell me that, but
I
I'm
know,
still like a little like, whoa, it's a manifester though. Okay.
I don't know if it's weird for a manifestor, but I do love it because I can't
Okay.
share. I can't inform if nobody asks me. I'm not gonna.
Same.
Well, we can dig into that. But for me, I kind of wanted to laugh and cry at the same time when you were describing. Yeah, so one of the things that I have related to in recent years where I have been leaning into not self with a vengeance, is have this image of myself, speaking of fantasy, of like Frodo on Mount Doom, knowing he's gonna die, but he's gonna pitch the ring into the lava and save it. Like that's kind of sometimes the deep dark depths where I end up. And so yeah, that does kind of ring true, but I wonder if the oppression, if it's kind of like a, because I don't know if it's a, I'm not self-oppressing, but it's like feeling the oppression of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that
I
makes
relate
sense.
to that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
because it's like, it's collective oppression. Like we're also,
Mhm.
and in fact, I just joined got invited to this Facebook group just for 47 and 22. Cause if you have 47, you have 22 in your cross. And so I was like, wow, is this like a actual whole thing? And it is about feeling the oppression collectively as well. Plus, Camden, you're in your third line phase because you're less than 50, you know, so you're in 47.3. Like there may be some 47, some self-oppression, or for me, I see how the collective also is self-oppressing, you know, and so there's so many layers because remember it's collective, you know, so it's that oppressive, like the oppression collectively, but also realizations about the collective. So, you know, it's interesting that it's the same gate, and I'm always contemplating that myself. Thanks for asking that, because any sixth line in your whole chart, it applies to the 6 line 3-phase process. So, I mean, if you have, you know, so you are going to see different development in those different areas. So it's really interesting to kind of dig into that if, you know, if your response is there, if you're interested, if you're a 1-3.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am one, definitely.
I know you are. I know you are. Okay. That's why I alluded. Okay. So then, let's see. I want to be aware of time. Okay. So there's 2 streams. It's the awareness. So the stream of feeling and the stream of sensing. The stream of feeling is my errors today, my mistakes here. Humans have a pressure as soon as we're born to get out there, feel, connect, and have an experience, like to look for a certain feeling. So this is like, basically, this is like, you know, kind of what we've already described. It's a pressure and energy to feel, the awareness of the recognition of what to feel, the awareness, emotional power to initiate a feeling, and then to express that as feelings or not. So I'm just kind of reviewing, like, this is the stream of feeling, right? So it's interesting to look, it's like, ooh, I have that whole stream of feeling. My life is about feeling and reflecting, you know, and expressing that and sharing that when correct, once I've reflected. And then there's the stream of sensing. So that's this, you know, this set of channels up here. It's around like the thinking and like, oh, I have a sense of something, which I really relate to with that gate 47. And I have gate 11 too in this thing. So I'm like, I'll always hear myself like, I don't know, but I just have a sense of it, you know? And so it kind of gives me that permission and empowerment to pay attention to those senses, right? Starts with the mental pressure, realizing allows us to see what makes sense. I'm going to just keep going. So this is what we like to kind of wrap up each of these kind of circuitry classes with. So look at so what to do with this, you know, look at yours and others' collective circuitry. Like you can note which ones are logical, which ones are abstract. How many logical gates do I have? In fact, in relationship analysis, that's one layer that I look at. that I'm trained to look at is, you know, Tiffany has this many logical collective gates, and I have this many, you know, logical, how many abstract, because you can really already see what some of the mechanics of the relationship are going to be and how you can surrender to that and have the range of beautiful relationship within that if it's correct, of course. Note the logical versus abstract, like the number of gates too, not just the channels, right? Use this languaging to support loved ones and self and to share, like I think I've already said, like talking to my teenager of like, we'll just, you know, kind of go and see what the experience has for you. And then like, let's reflect on it afterward and see what you discover for the channel of discovery. You know, you may succeed where others don't. You may not succeed where others do. You know, I'm kind of like always weaving in that language. But again, I see that DNA resonance that happens there. Honor your own individuality and design first, obviously, always. That first, strategy and authority, always. To me, I like the journaling and contemplating, which is like what we get with the gene keys. I enjoy that lens as well onto human design of like the contemplation, because we're working with mind. Mind is not our enemy. There's so much beautiful and amazing things about mind and about the 7-centered things we discovered before human design came. So contemplate, what am I here to share? What logical patterns for well-being do I see? What are some things that are only clear upon reflection afterward for me? What has been in the past? What am I in the middle of now that I can't know until, because I'm in this cycle. I'm in the middle of the beginnings, middles, and ends. So I'm not going to know what the fruit is until later. Yeah. What is this? Okay. What is the truth of your own creational nature? What is in service to life? Of course, a collective being is going to ask that. What's in service to the greater good? What's in service to you? Because that's what's in service to the greater good. Of course, human design sessions, awareness, and enjoy the ride. And then I have a quote. When we come to the metamorphosis, we can see that in the collective process, whether this is abstract or logical, it is never an inner vision. It is an inner vision translated into language, because everything about the movement from the head center to the throat is seeking articulation, seeking expression in language. The collective takes the visual and turns it into language. So that's also kind of neat to think about with like the logical and the abstract. And it's like what we see in our own experience and understanding. I'm naming both circuits. Every abstract person is at their weakest point at the moment an experience ends. This is the weakest point for an abstract person because their temptation is to jump into the next experience without reflecting on what they've been through. Get to the next thing. What happens to so many abstract people is they keep on repeating the same experience, and that is not what the abstract process is about. It's about having an experience, reflecting on it, recognizing its fundamental worth, and then going on to the next experience, thus turning a weak position into a strength. The weakest position of the abstract being is the moment the experience is over. It is at this point that privacy, separateness, aloneness, and the opportunity for reflection is essential. And that's naming a lot of the gates and channels in abstract circuitry. So it's that reflection that's really essential part of the human experience. So, okay, that's all the slides that I have. Oh yes, exactly. Devotion. What are you in devotion to while you're creating? What are you devoted to yourself, to honoring yourself, to your deepest truth? Are you devoted to the higher good? Are you devoted to money when you're creating content? Are you devoted to, I want to share and connect with people when you're creating slides or content? You know, so that there's all these, Tiffany and I've been really asking that of each other a lot, because a teacher of mine said that, and I was like, oh my gosh. What are you in devotion to while you're doing anything, while you're making the bed, while you're making food, because that's what you're creating. So, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Tiff. I love that you brought that in. Anything to add, Tiffany?
No, I mean, my bed is the like most devotional aware space, because like that was the example question. So like every morning when I make my bed, I'm like, what are you devoted to right now? And sometimes it's sloppy and sometimes it's perfect, and I just let it happen. This was awesome. I took so many notes. I have so many takeaways, huge nuggets. We're ending circuitry now. And so, you know, if you guys have questions, I guess email at this point, since I don't want to take Alicia's more of her time. but it's so good to see everybody and to learn in our experiments with everyone, to hear your feedback, to hear who has what and how you experience it and feel it. Leisha, you might have missed a comment that David's wife and they have a friend who has the channel of 6447, and what you were saying was right on for that person. So
Good.
there's just a lot of recognition for what you're saying. And
My favorite.
yeah. Yeah. So all right, well, we're gonna work on our Trello board and our workbook and get back to you guys. But thanks for hanging out with us for some lunch and learn, and thank you, Leisha, for being devoted to sharing this information. So we all love you, and
Love you. You said that perfectly.
well, if you guys are coming to Mercury Retrograde, it's tomorrow at noon, and I am doing it all. So hope you can make it. It's for all of 2024, and I have done all of the charts, and so I'm excited to share that tomorrow. But that's all. We'll see you soon, guys.
Thank you. Love you.
Yeah. Stop recording.